When the people came to Jamestown, did you know that they were financed by a group of London businessmen? And these businessmen said to them, now when you get over there, we want you to live according to some rules that we're going to set up. First of all, one of the rules is nobody is going to own private property. We tried that over there. Didn't work. Nobody's to own private property. We don't want any of this dog eat dog, everybody fend for himself business. You will live in a commune. Everybody will own everything equally. And you will have a leader, and he will give you assignments as to what to do. What do you think of that kind of a program? No private property, do what you're told. What does that sound like? Yeah, that sounds like communism, doesn't it? Well, Jamestown, I mean, in order to get the funding, they had to agree to the rules. And those were the rules. And what happened to Jamestown? If they hadn't have been infused with a little foreign aid, or a whole lot, because they practically died off, and if they hadn't have changed the system, gotten away from that system of communism, they would have died off. Now what's the next group of people? We mentioned it earlier that came over. In 1620, this were the Pilgrims. Do you know that the Pilgrims were financed by the same group of London businessmen that financed Jamestown? And they said to them, now when you get over there, we want you to live according to these rules. And they outlined the very same rules for the Pilgrims. But they said, you people are Christians. And Christians believe in brotherly love and having all things in common. You know what it says. And you can make these things work. Okay, so that's what they agreed to. Got the funding, made the trip. Governor William Bradford was chosen to be their leader. You remember that. And we know a whole lot more about what happened at Plymouth because of the meticulous notes that Governor Bradford took. He's really known as the father of American history because he was very meticulous, wrote a lot of history about the Plymouth colony, which we have, and which is fascinating reading. So they get over here and he assigns them work. You can imagine he assigns the men to the fields and cultivate and plant and cultivate and so forth. He assigns the few women they had to tend the children, cook the food, wash the clothes, and said, now that everybody has their assignment, let's go to work. Well, what do you think happened? How does that work at your home? You know, mom makes the chore chart. What happens? Might work for a little while, and then what? Exactly what happened in Plymouth. The people would start coming to Governor Bradford and say, oh, I'm ad-libbing here a little bit, but you can think of these excuses. I've got a backache, or I've got an ingrown toenail, or my elbow hurts, or whatever the excuse. I can't go out and work today. And so there were people, and you can imagine a woman coming and saying, you know, I don't mind washing the dirty socks for my family, but for the whole commune, this is a stinky job. I don't want to do this anymore. All of a sudden, the work wasn't getting done. And Governor Bradford noticed that there were people that he had to force to go out and do the work. And of course, the harvest wasn't very plentiful. And he made an interesting observation that the people who gave the most excuses during the working days were the first in line with the biggest baskets during the harvest time. Does that sound familiar? Story of the little red hen? Yes. So he gets them all together and he says, you people, we're trying to get away from tyranny and you're making me a tyrant, having to make you go out and work. I'm not going to be a tyrant anymore. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to divide up. We're going to divide up the land, which he did, the tools, the seed corn. We're going to divide everything up by the size of families. And from here on, brethren, it's root, hog, or die. Ooh, does that sound pretty harsh? Yeah, that would today, wouldn't it? We're going to die anyway. So everybody, you have your plot of ground, you have your seed corn, you have your tools. Good luck. He goes out to his own work in the next season, and guess what he sees? Can't believe it. You have the people out there who before would have alleged weakness and inability, as he says, and what are they doing? They're out there working. Did he have to make them? No. This is incredible. This system, he says, it made all hands very industrious, this new system. Those are his words. He says we plant more corn than otherwise would have been planted, and they have all their family out there, even the ones that made excuses before, and I didn't even have to make them do it. I ask you, what is the difference here? Why did they go out on their own? Do you know? Yeah, you know human nature. Because they knew they could enjoy the benefits of their own labors. And they also knew that if they didn't work, they wouldn't eat. But whatever they produced was theirs. They didn't have to share it with others. They could. Probably encouraged to, but they didn't have to. So that's human nature. So this is an incredible turn of events in human history. Jamestown and Plymouth. Really, when you set the human spirit free and let them enjoy the benefits of their own labors, great things start to happen. So I want you to think of the period of time from the establishment of Jamestown in what year? 1607, until the writing of the Constitution, which is in what year? 1787. Where's my mathematicians here? How many years is that? 1607 to 1787. That's 180 years. I want you to think of that 180-year period as a period of trial and error, where they tried some things, like these experiments in Jamestown and Plymouth, didn't work. And they tried other things and they did work. And so they wrote them down and said, oh, don't do that. We've tried that once, it doesn't work. Let me ask you this question. When they came to Jamestown, what were they using to plow their fields? What were they using to plow their fields? The plowshare, you know, hadn't even been invented yet. Just sticks. Son, go out and find a nice stick to plow the field behind the ox today. Just a stick. About the way that people had been plowing their fields for over 5,000 years. No real progress had been made. What was their transportation like? Ox carts, walking, horses, animal power, about the way people had been getting around for over 5,000 years. What was their, well, even the ships weren't even as big as some of the ancient Phoenician ships. How were they making their cloth? Yeah, hand loom, about the way people had been doing it for over 5,000 years. Do you get the point? What is the point? For over 5,000 years of human history, there just had not been much progress made. But something happened beginning at Jamestown that literally, as we said, set the human spirit free. It let people enjoy the benefits of their labors. So all of a sudden, the creativity of the human mind begins to set in, and what happened? We went from ox carts in 1607 in less than 200 years to where? Walking on the moon in less than 200 years. In other words, we went farther in 200 years than mankind had gone in over 5,000 years before. What made it that way? I suggest to you the principles of liberty. These principles that were set in motion for the first time in the history of this world, set in such complete motion, it made this advancement possible. Hence the name of the book, The 5,000-Year Leap.